Grayson Wells slammed his office door shut. He loosened his tie and let out a deep sigh. He had made millions of dollars again today, but he felt sad inside. He was 45 years old and had everything money could buy. A big fancy home that looked over Central Park, lots of expensive cars, and more bank accounts than he could count. But tonight, he had one more deal to finish, and for that, he needed a lot of cash. "Mr. Wells," said Nina, his assistant, walking in with a black leather suitcase, "the money is ready like you asked." $100,000 in cash, Grayson said without even looking up from his phone. "Just put it on the desk and get my car ready. I have to meet Wilson about that downtown property." The suitcase sat on the desk while Grayson shouted on the phone. He was arguing with another business partner. "Listen, Roberts, I don't care what your other investors are saying. My price is final." Grayson grabbed the suitcase and rushed out. He was still yelling on the phone. The ride downtown was full of traffic and more angry phone calls. Grayson was so busy that he didn't notice something very important. When he got out of the car and checked his papers, he left the suitcase on the ground. When he got to his meeting place, his stomach dropped. The suitcase was gone. 100,000 cash vanished. "No! No, no!" Grayson shouted. He called his driver, his assistant, and everyone he could think of. But no one had seen the suitcase. Somewhere between his office and downtown, it had disappeared. That night, back in his fancy penthouse, Grayson walked around in panic. He drank scotch right from the bottle. He thought, "My reputation is ruined. Wilson won't make the deal now. The board will say I made a dumb mistake. How could I be so careless?" Rain tapped on the windows and thunder shook the sky. Grayson was about to pour another drink when he heard a knock at the door. "What now?" He growled and opened it quickly. Standing there, soaking wet from the rain, was a young black woman he didn't know. She looked tired. She was wearing a waitress uniform under her wet coat, and in her hand she held something, his black leather suitcase. "I think this belongs to you, Mr. Wells," she said kindly. Grayson stared at her. Then he looked at the suitcase. He couldn't believe it. "How? Where did you find this?" he asked. "On the street near your office," she said. "I saw your business card fall out when someone almost kicked it. I've been trying to find you all evening." Her name was Amara Bennett. After working her shift at the diner, she spent hours trying to return something that didn't belong to her. Grayson led her inside. His hands were shaking as he opened the suitcase. Every dollar was there. Nothing was missing. "Why?" he asked. "Why didn't you keep it? This money could change your life." Amara stood tall and looked him in the eyes. "Because it's not mine, Mr. Wells, that's all." Grayson laughed a little. "Nothing is that simple. Everyone has a price. What's yours? Want a reward? 10,000? 20? "No, thank you," Amara said. She was already walking to the door. "I need to go home to my son. I have another shift in the morning." "Wait," Grayson called, suddenly curious and amazed. "At least let me call you a car. It's raining." "I'll take the subway like I always do," Amara said with a small smile. "Good night, Mr. Wells." After she left, Grayson sat and stared at the suitcase. His whole world felt different. In a city where he thought everyone had a price, he met someone who proved him wrong, and he couldn't stop thinking about her. The next morning, Grayson couldn't focus at work. He kept remembering Amara's words, "Because it's not mine." No one in his world ever said things like that. His assistant Nina noticed he looked worried. "Are you okay, Mr. Wells?" she asked. "Nina, I need you to find someone," Grayson said. "Her name is Amara Bennett. She's a waitress in Queens." It didn't take long. Nina found her working at Mabel's Diner, a little place that had been there for 30 years. Grayson didn't tell anyone where he was going. He just got in his car and drove there. The diner was small and simple, not like the fancy restaurants Grayson was used to. The smell of coffee and pancakes filled the air. The seats were old and soft from years of use. And there she was, Amara. She was walking around with a coffee pot in her hand, serving people. "More coffee, sir?" she asked without looking at him. "Yes, please," Grayson said. Amara looked up and saw him. "Mr. Wells, what are you doing here?" "I came to thank you and maybe buy you lunch." Amara shook her head. "I'm working, and really there's no need to thank me. I just did what anyone would do." "No," Grayson said. "Most people wouldn't. Please, just 30 minutes of your time. When is your break?" Amara sighed. "I have 15 minutes at 2. That's all." At 2 sharp, they sat in a booth in the back. Amara still had her apron on. She showed him a picture on her phone. "This is Jude, my son. He's 8. He has asthma, so I work 2 jobs to pay his medical bills." Grayson remembered the school book he saw in her bag that night. "You're in school too?" he asked. "I take night classes when I can afford them," she said. "I want Jude to be proud of his mom." Amara looked at her watch. "I should get back to work." "Let me help," Grayson said quickly. "I can help with the medical bills, your school." "No," Amara said firmly. "I'm not telling you this for money. I don't want charity." "It's not charity," Grayson tried to explain. "You reminded me yesterday that honesty still exists. Let me do something in return." "You want to help?" Amara said. "Then be a good customer. Leave good tips. That's honest work, not handouts." For the next week, Grayson went to the diner every day. He learned that Amara's second job was cleaning offices at night. He found out Jude loved superhero movies and wanted to be a doctor someday. He noticed Amara hadn't had a day off in months. His business friends noticed something too. Grayson started skipping big meetings. He didn't go to fancy lunches. Even his brother Caleb asked, "What's going on with you? The board is talking. You keep disappearing. Are you in trouble?" "I'm fine," Grayson said. "Better than fine. I'm just seeing things differently." But trouble was coming. Grayson's ex-girlfriend, Celeste Morgan, who owned a rival company, started asking questions. She had people follow him. They took photos of him at the diner. One evening, as Amara was leaving her night job, Celeste was waiting by her car. "So, you're the waitress making Grayson Wells eat in diners," Celeste said. "How much do you want to disappear from his life? Everyone has a price. Name it, and I'll double it." "I'm not after anything," Amara said bravely, "and I'm not scared of you." "You should be," Celeste said. "Grayson's world will eat you alive. What would Jude think if some rumors about his mom started going around?" Amara's hands shook, but she stayed strong. "Stay away from my son." That night, when Grayson came to pick her up, something he now did often, Amara was quiet. "What's wrong?" he asked. "This was a mistake," Amara said. "You and me, we're from different worlds. Maybe we should stop pretending. Did someone say something to you?" "It doesn't matter. I need to think about Jude. I can't risk." "Tell me what happened," Grayson said, holding her hand. As rain poured outside, Amara had a choice: tell him the truth or walk away. Finally, she spoke. "Your ex, Celeste Morgan, came to see me. She offered money for me to stay away from you. When I said no, she threatened to spread rumors about me at Jude's school." Grayson's hands clenched the steering wheel. "She did what?" "She's right, Grayson. I don't belong in your world." "Yes, you do," he said. "Celeste doesn't speak for me. I won't let her hurt you or Jude. You can't stop her. Even your business friends were laughing today. I heard them at the diner, joking about the spell the waitress must have put on you." "I don't care what they think," Grayson said. "When I'm at that diner, drinking coffee you made just right, that's when I feel real." Amara wiped a tear. "It's not that simple." "Why not?" he asked. "Because people like Celeste say so. Because we're from different places. But that night you returned my suitcase, you showed me honesty still matters. Don't forget that now." Just then, Amara's phone rang. It was Mrs. Clara, her neighbor. "Jude's having an asthma attack," she said. "I can't find his inhaler." "We're coming," Amara shouted. Grayson drove fast through the rain. When they reached her building, the elevator was broken again. "Fourth floor," Amara said, running up the stairs. They found Jude on the couch, struggling to breathe. Mrs. Clara was patting his back. Amara ran to her room and got the spare inhaler. Soon, Jude was breathing better. Grayson watched Amara hold her son, whispering softly and brushing his hair. And right then he knew he couldn't let anyone ruin what they had. The next morning, Grayson walked into Celeste's office without knocking. She smiled. "Finally coming to your senses about your little waitress?" "Her name is Amara," Grayson said firmly. "And if you ever threaten her or her son again, I'll tell everyone about the insider trading you did last year." Celeste's smile disappeared. "You wouldn't dare," she said. "You'd get yourself in trouble too." "Try me," Grayson changed. "Changed?" Celeste raised her eyebrows. The old Grayson cared more about his name and money than anything else. Well, the new Grayson cares more about the people he loves. Celeste laughed in a mean way. "Love? You've known her for what, a few weeks? She's just using you. Women like her always do." "No, that's what you did," Grayson said. "Amara is nothing like you, and if you don't believe me about the insider trading, call your friend James at the SEC. I sent him some important documents this morning." At Mabel's diner, Grayson sat in his usual seat, waiting for Amara to finish work. He watched her refill coffee cups, joke with customers, and smile at everyone. This was her world, and Grayson was starting to love it more than his own. When Amara finally sat down across from him, she looked worried. "Jude's teacher called today," she said. "Someone's been asking questions about me at his school." "Celeste won't be a problem anymore," Grayson told her. "I took care of it." "What did you do?" Amara asked. "Let's just say I reminded her that people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw Morgans." Then Grayson reached across the table and took her hand. "Amara, I know this is scary. I know it's not easy, but I'm not asking you to come into my world. Maybe I want to be part of yours." Just then, the diner's door opened. Grayson's brother Caleb walked in. He looked out of place in his fancy $1,000 suit. "So this is where you've been hiding," Caleb said, looking around at the old booths and chipped coffee cups. "The board called an emergency meeting. They're voting to remove you as CEO." Amara quickly pulled her hand away and stood up. "I should get back to work." "No, stay," Grayson said. "Caleb, what are you talking about? On what grounds?" "They think you've been ignoring the company," Caleb said, "making strange choices, letting personal stuff affect your judgment." He looked at Amara as he said that. Grayson stood up. His anger was rising. He had fought Celeste to protect Amara. But now, he faced something bigger, losing everything he built. Was he ready to risk it all for a woman who showed up one rainy night and changed his life? The lights in the Wells Court boardroom were bright and harsh. Grayson stood at the head of the table, facing board members he had known for years. Some had worked with his father. "This is silly," Grayson said. "Profits are up 20% from last year." "This isn't about money," said Wilson Peters, the board chairman. "It's about judgment. You've been spending time at a diner. You threatened Celeste. This isn't the Grayson Wells we know." "Maybe that's a good thing," Grayson replied. "Maybe the old me needed to change." Caleb stepped forward. "We'll give you a nice retirement package. Leave quietly and keep your name clean." "And if I say no?" Grayson asked. "Then we'll go to the press," Caleb said. "We'll tell them about the $100,000 in cash you lost last month." Grayson's face turned red. "I didn't lose it. Amara gave it back." Caleb shrugged. "How convenient. Are we sure this wasn't all a trick? A way to win your trust?" Back at Mabel's diner, Amara had her own problems. Jude's teacher, Mrs. Anderson, had asked to meet her. "Jude's been distracted," Mrs. Anderson said gently. "He says people are following his mom and other parents are starting to talk." "Everything's fine," Amara said, though her hands were shaking. "We're just going through some changes." Outside the school, Amara's friend Tasha was waiting. "You need to see this," Tasha said, showing her phone. There was an article online. "Wells airs secret romance with waitress, gold digger, or true love?" There were photos of Amara and Grayson at the diner, outside her apartment, and even one of Jude. His face was blurry, but still, it was her son. Amara felt sick. This was her worst fear. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Grayson. "Don't believe anything you read. I'll fix this, I promise." But Amara didn't know if it could be fixed anymore. That evening, Amara cleaned offices, thinking about how quiet her life used to be. It was hard, yes, but simple. Now, everything was loud and messy. Meanwhile, Grayson sat in his office, surrounded by papers. He had gone through old records and found something interesting. "Nina," he called to his assistant, "get me everything about Caleb's work with Crown Industries last year." "But sir," Nina said, "those files are sealed. Caleb marked them confidential." "I'm still CEO. Open them." What Grayson found made his heart race. Caleb had been working with their business rivals. He had sold company secrets. He had planned this takeover. This wasn't about Amara. It was about hiding Caleb's betrayal. Just then, Grayson's phone rang. It was Amara. "I can't do this anymore," she said. "They took pictures of Jude. My son is in this mess." "Amara, wait. I found the truth. It's my brother. He's behind everything. Please give me 24 hours. There was a long pause. 24 hours, she said. "After that, I do what's best for Jude." Grayson hung up and called an old friend at the SEC. "Remember that favor you owe me?" he asked. "I need it now." The next morning, Caleb walked into his office and found Grayson waiting. "Crown Industries," Grayson said. "Ring any bells?" Caleb's face went pale. "How did you find out?" "You sold our secrets to them," Grayson said. "You planned this for months, but I have proof." "You can't prove anything," Caleb snapped. "Check your phone." Caleb looked. His phone buzzed with a news alert. "SEEK opens investigation into Crown Industries and Wells board member." "You didn't," Caleb whispered. "You tried to destroy me," Grayson said, "and you used an innocent woman and her child to do it. That's not business. That's just cruel." "She changed you," Caleb spat. The old Grayson would have understood this. "No," Grayson said. "Amara reminded me who I used to be, before I forgot what really matters." Security guards came to take Caleb away. Grayson ran to Mabel's diner, but Amara was gone. Tasha was there. "She's not here," Tasha said. "She quit this morning, said she wanted a fresh start." "Where did she go?" Grayson asked. "She made me promise not to tell," Tasha said. "But she did mention Jude has a doctor's appointment at St. Mary's Hospital this afternoon. But I didn't tell you that." Grayson had saved his company. Now he had only hours to save the woman he loved. Traffic was terrible. So Grayson checked his watch again and again. St. Mary's was 20 blocks away, and the appointment was in 30 minutes. "Forget this," he muttered. He jumped out of the car. "Nina, take care of the car." "I have the car. I'm running." "But sir, you're wearing a $3,000 suit." "I don't care." And Grayson ran through the streets of New York. He jumped puddles, dodged people, and almost hit a hot dog cart. Old Grayson would have been embarrassed, but the new Grayson didn't care. At the hospital, Grayson saw them in the waiting room. Jude was playing with a toy car. Amara was filling out forms. "What are you doing here?" she asked, standing up. "Don't leave," Grayson said, breathing hard. "Just hear me out." "Mr. Grayson," Jude said. "You look funny. Did you run here?" 20 blocks, Grayson said, falling into a chair. "Had to catch you." "Jude Bennett?" a nurse called. "That's us," Amara said. "Grayson, I have to take him in." "I'll wait," he said. "All day if I have to." Grayson sat in the waiting room. His phone buzzed again and again. The news about Caleb was everywhere. The board wanted to meet. Reporters were calling. None of it mattered. After an hour, Amara and Jude came out. "I got a sticker," Jude said. "The doctor says my asthma's getting better." "That's great," Grayson said. Then he looked at Amara. "Can we talk?" Amara told Jude to show his sticker to the lady at the front desk. She looked at Grayson. "I saw the news," she said. "I'm sorry about your brother." "I'm not," Grayson replied. "He made his choices. But Amara, you have to know, none of it was because of you. He used you to distract me. It doesn't matter why. Amara said. What matters is what happened. My son's life was turned upside down. All because you returned a suitcase, Grayson said, because you showed me what honesty really looks like. I never asked for that, Amara said. No, you didn't, Grayson said. But Amara, I love you. And I think you love me too. It's not that simple, Amara whispered. It actually is, Grayson said. The company, the press, the stories, those are complicated. But this, he took her hand, this is simple. Do you love me? Before she could answer, Jude came running back. Look, I got a teddy bear, he said. That's awesome, buddy. Grayson smiled. Then he looked at Amara. Can I ask something? How would you feel about having dinner with me and your mom tonight? I make great spaghetti. Jude's eyes lit up. Can we, Mom? Please? Amara looked at her son's excited face, then at Grayson, still messy, still smiling, still holding her hand. Your fancy apartment probably doesn't even have spaghetti, she said. Then we'll go shopping, Grayson replied. There's a little grocery store near you. Mrs. Chen runs it. She's been teaching me how to cook. You've been learning to cook from Mrs. Chen? Amara laughed. 3 times a week. She says I'm awful, but she still teaches me. Amara laughed again. Her last wall fell down. 1 dinner, she said. We'll see how it goes. Jude cheered. As they walked to the exit, a bunch of reporters stood waiting. Mr. Wells, what can you tell us about your brother's arrest? Are the stories about you and Miss Bennett true? Amara tensed. This was the moment. Grayson could pretend he didn't know her, or he could choose something bigger. Grayson took her hand. He put his other hand on Jude's shoulder and faced the cameras. Actually, he said, I'd love to tell you about Amara Bennett. She's the woman who taught me that some things matter more than money. She's the reason I finally had the courage to do the right thing. And right now, she's about to find out if I'm really as bad at cooking spaghetti as Mrs. Chen says I am. The reporters shouted lots of questions, but Grayson just smiled and said, If you'll excuse us, we have grocery shopping to do. Then he looked right into a nearby camera and said seriously, The next person who takes a picture of this woman's son without asking will have to deal with the full power of the Wells Company. That's not a threat. That's a promise from a man protecting his family. As they walked away from the surprised reporters, Amara squeezed his hand. Family, huh? Too soon? Grayson asked nervously. No, Amara said softly. Maybe not soon enough. That night, the spaghetti was terrible. The sauce was too watery, the noodles were all stuck together, and Grayson somehow burned the garlic bread. But they all sat at Amara's little kitchen table, Jude telling funny school stories, Amara trying not to laugh at Grayson's sad face. It was the best dinner Grayson ever had. Maybe we should order pizza, Grayson said, poking at the clumpy pasta. No way, Amara said bravely, taking a bite. You made this for us. We're eating it. Mom says we should be thankful when people do kind things, Jude added wisely, even though he was just pushing spaghetti around his plate. In the next few weeks, a lot of changes happened. Grayson told the reporters to stay away from his personal life, but mixing their 2 worlds wasn't easy. One morning, Amara woke up and found lots of cleaners in her apartment. Grayson, she called out in her pajamas. What is this? I thought it would help, he said, looking confused. You work so hard, I wanted to make things easier. By having strangers go through my stuff without asking? This is my home, Grayson. You can't just take over. Grayson told the cleaners to leave. That day, he learned something big about love. Being kind wasn't enough. He had to listen. He had to ask. He had to learn that his way wasn't always the right way. Then came the parent-teacher meeting at Jude's school. Grayson said he wanted to go with Amara. Mr. Wells, the teacher said, looking surprised. We weren't expecting you. Please call me Grayson, he smiled. I want to help with Jude's education. After the meeting, Amara was very quiet. What's wrong? Grayson asked. I thought it went well. It did. Maybe too well, Amara said. Last year, I asked for extra help for Jude's reading, and they said they were too busy. But today, with you there, they offered tutoring and special programs. Grayson was starting to understand. When he was around, people treated Amara and Jude differently, not always in good ways. Later, Grayson had a big idea. "Let's move in together," he said. "I found a lovely brown Morgan house. It's not too fancy and it's near your school." "It's perfect," Amara said, "but we can't afford that." "I can," Grayson said. "That's not the point. I need to stand on my own. What if it doesn't work out? I need to know Jude and I will be okay." It hurt, but Grayson understood. They were still building trust. They were still learning how to be together. Then, one evening, while Grayson was trying to cook again, Amara came home with exciting news. "Remember that nursing scholarship I applied for? The one for single parents? I got it. Full tuition and money for living expenses." Grayson dropped his spatula and hugged her tight. "That's amazing. I knew you could do it." "Now we can look for a better apartment," Amara said. "Or," Grayson said carefully, "we can look at that brown Morgan again. You'll have your scholarship money. You can pay what you can and I'll handle my part. We'll be real partners." "You'd be okay with that?" Amara asked. "Even though I can't pay half?" "Of course," Grayson smiled. "Different doesn't mean unequal." That night, after Jude went to bed, they sat on Amara's old couch, planning their future. "The board wants me to change," Grayson said. "They think I'm making the shareholders nervous." "Are you going to change?" Amara asked. "No, I'm thinking of changing the company instead. I want to start a foundation to help single parents go back to school." Amara looked at him kindly. "The businessman I met 2 months ago would never have thought of that." "That man didn't know what real wealth was," Grayson said, hugging her. "Even if I lost all my money, if I had you and Jude, I'd still be the richest man in New York." Just then, someone knocked on the door. It was Mrs. Chen from the grocery store. "I saw your lights on," she smiled. "I brought real pasta and sauce. That poor man needs help in the kitchen." They all laughed. Grayson watched Amara and Mrs. Chen talk about how to cook pasta properly. He realized something important. He didn't just find love with Amara and Jude. He found a whole community, a neighborhood, a new way to see the world. Later that night, while they looked at brown Morgan pictures, Amara asked, "Are you sure about all this? Living in a normal neighborhood, shopping at regular stores, being normal?" Grayson thought about his big, lonely penthouse and his quiet dinners. Then he remembered that rainy night when Amara knocked on his door. "I've never been more sure of anything," he said, "but I do have one condition." "What's that?" Amara asked. "We're hiring a cooking tutor. Mrs. Chen deserves a break." Moving day was full of noise and boxes. Amara's old furniture looked small in the big brown Morgan. Grayson's fancy things didn't really fit. Jude ran around, calling every room his new headquarters. "Where do you want this?" a mover asked, holding a shiny vase that cost more than Amara's old apartment's rent. "Put it in the donation pile," Grayson said without thinking. "We're starting fresh." But starting fresh wasn't easy. The Wells Corporation's big charity party was coming up. Grayson wanted Amara and Jude to go with him. "It's important for the company," he explained. "The board is still worried after everything with Caleb. They need to see we're strong." "I have an exam the next day," Amara said. "You can study after. Please, I need you there." The night of the gala arrived. Amara felt out of place in her new fancy dress. Jude looked great in his tiny tuxedo and was having lots of fun. One lady smiled and said, "Grayson tells us you're in nursing school. That's cute, but now that you're with him, you don't really need to work." Before Amara could answer, another woman joined in. "I heard you used to be a waitress. My niece is a waitress too. Maybe you know her." Amara felt her face get hot. They were smiling, but they were really saying she didn't belong. Across the room, Grayson was talking to Silas Mercer, the biggest company investor. "This foundation stuff is sweet, Grayson," Silas said, "but people think you're losing focus." "But our profits are up 15%, Grayson said. Yes, but your look, maybe Miss Bennet should stay out of the spotlight. Just then, there was a loud crash. Jude had knocked over a big dessert table. Chocolate went everywhere. I'm sorry, Jude cried. I just wanted to see how it worked. Amara rushed over, not caring about chocolate on her dress. She just wanted to comfort her son, but she could feel everyone whispering. That night, Amara found Grayson in his study. Maybe they're right, she said. Maybe I should stay quiet. No, Grayson said. They need to change, not you. Did you see how they looked at Jude? Like he didn't belong? Then we'll build our own world. But even as he said it, he knew it wouldn't be easy. The next morning, Amara got a call from her old job at Mabel's diner. Tasha's sick, her old boss said. We're swamped. I'll be there in 20 minutes, Amara said without thinking. Later, Grayson found her in her waitress uniform, pouring coffee for regular customers. What are you doing? He asked. Being me, she said. I needed to remember who I am. Grayson sat at the counter. She brought him coffee without asking. 2 sugars, light cream, she smiled. You didn't have to do this, he said. Yes, I did. I love you, and I love our life, but I can't lose myself in your world. Just then, Jude ran in after school. Mom, Mr. Walter helped me with my math homework. Mr. Walter, a retired teacher, smiled proudly. The boy's got a good head for numbers. Grayson looked around the diner. He saw how happy everyone was, how much Amara and Jude belonged here. He thought of the fancy gala and how it felt so fake. Then he had an idea. What if, he said slowly, instead of trying to fit into my world or only staying in yours, we build something new? Something that takes the best of both. What do you mean? Amara asked. The foundation I'm starting, what if we run it from real neighborhoods like this one? You want to run a big company from a diner? Amara laughed. Why not? This place understands people more than any boardroom. Just then, the door chimed. It was Silas Mercer in a fancy suit. Grayson, he said, we need to talk about your choices. Before Grayson could answer, Jude ran up. Mom, can I have a milkshake? I did all my homework. Homework first, sweets later, Amara said. Silas watched, surprised. Then even more surprised when Grayson said, listen to your mom, buddy. Rules are rules. Soon, Silas was sitting at the counter. Amara poured him coffee. 1 hour later, he was still there, listening to Grayson's new plans. You know, Silas said, smiling, my mother used to run a diner like this. She paid for my college with her tips. Grayson looked at Amara and said, she would have liked you, as the sun went down outside Mabel's diner. Something felt different. It wasn't a full win. There were still fancy parties to go to, problems to face, and big things to fix. But right now, as Grayson watched Silas Mercer eat apple pie and Jude show him his math homework, Grayson and Amara knew they were doing the right thing. Their world wouldn't just be his or hers, it would be something new. And maybe, just maybe, it would be even better than they ever dreamed. At first, the idea of running a charity from a diner sounded silly. But now, as Grayson sat in his favorite booth and watched Amara serve coffee while also helping a young mom fill out a form to get a school scholarship, he smiled. He knew they were building something special. We've already helped 3 single parents get into nursing school, Amara told Grayson excitedly during her break, and Mrs. Chen is getting local shop owners to offer training jobs. Grayson smiled, but his face turned serious. He showed Amara the morning newspaper. The business section had a mean article. Wells Air goes rogue. Company boss trades boardroom for greasy spoon. They just don't understand, Grayson said. Not yet, Amara said, but they will. And then something surprising happened. Celeste Morgan, of all people, showed up at the diner one rainy Tuesday morning. I heard what you're doing here, she said, looking a little awkward in the small diner. My mom was a single mother. She worked 2 jobs to put me through business school. Amara remembered their last fight and felt nervous. But Celeste didn't come to cause trouble. I want to help, Celeste said kindly. My company has a program for helping women in business. Maybe we can grow it. Meanwhile, Jude was doing great. His asthma got better, his grades were up, and a special homework club had started at the diner. Mr. Walter, a retired teacher, had brought other retired teachers to help kids with schoolwork. They helped with math, science, and even art. But not everyone liked the changes. One night, when Grayson and Amara were closing the diner, some important board members showed up. "This has gone far enough," said Harold Whitmore, the oldest one. "Grayson, your father built our company with hard work and rules. What would he think of all this?" He pointed to the diner walls full of flyers for school programs and job training. Grayson stayed calm. "My father's first job was cleaning floors," he said. "He worked at night and studied in the day. Someone gave him a chance. That's what we're doing here, giving people a chance." Amara added softly, "It's not just chances, it's about dignity. Every person who walks in here has value. We're just helping them believe it." Jude, who had been doing his homework nearby, looked up. "Like how Mr. Walter helped me with fractions. Mom, tell them about Nadia, who's going to medical school." Harold looked at Jude, then saw the hope in the boy's eyes. His stern face softened. "Maybe," he said slowly. "I'll visit next week to see how this program works." Then came the big moment. Grayson convinced the board to hold their next charity meeting at the diner. Businessmen in suits sat next to workers in boots. Fancy lawyers shared tables with nursing students. Grayson told the board, "We've always done charity from far away, writing checks from tall buildings to people we never meet. But here, we see the difference every day." Right then, a young woman walked up to their table, her eyes full of happy tears. "Sorry to interrupt," she said, "but I just got accepted into law school. The foundation scholarship helped me. My kids will see me become a lawyer." Some board members looked uncomfortable, but Silas Mercer spoke up. "You know," he said, "we spend millions on trying to understand our communities. Maybe we've been doing it the wrong way." That night, after everyone left, Amara found Grayson sitting in their favorite booth. "Penny for your thoughts?" she asked, sitting beside him. "I was just thinking about the night you returned my suitcase," he said. "I thought I had all the power, but you had something I never understood." "What's that?" Amara asked. "Real wealth, the kind that comes from being part of a community, from helping people, from standing firm in what you believe." Amara leaned on his shoulder. "We're building something special, aren't we?" "We are," Grayson said. "Though I never thought I'd be this happy trading board meetings for burger specials." Just then, Jude ran in from the kitchen where he had helped Mrs. Chen clean up. "Mom, Grayson, Mrs. Chen's grandson got into college. He's the first in their family. Can we have a party?" "Of course we can, buddy," Grayson said, ruffling Jude's hair. "That's what family does." Jude repeated, "Family." Then he smiled. "Grayson, since you and Mom are getting married next month, can I call you Dad?" Grayson froze. They hadn't told Jude about the wedding yet. "How did you know?" Amara asked. Jude grinned. "I saw Grayson asking Mrs. Chen how to hide the ring in a fortune cookie. She said it was a bad idea. Someone might eat it." Grayson laughed. "Well, there goes my romantic plan." "Good," Amara said, kissing him. "I like this version better." Outside, the city lights twinkled. Inside, a very special family hugged each other. It didn't matter that one world was rich and the other simple, because the best journeys don't always go upward, they go home. And the most valuable things in life aren't bought. They come with coffee, homework help, and love that crosses all lines. But soon, wedding planning brought stress. Grayson's planner wanted a huge fancy wedding with 500 guests at a big hotel. Amara wanted a simple ceremony in the park near the diner. The board expects something big. Grayson's assistant, Nina, said, "But it's not the Wells wedding," Amara said. "It's our wedding, mine and Grayson's." The biggest problem came during the cake tasting. The bakery owner only talked to Grayson, ignoring Amara. "Maybe the lady wants something simpler," he said, smiling in a rude way. Grayson stood up. "We're leaving." He took Amara to a small bakery in Queens, Mrs. Chen's cousin's place. Best red velvet cake in New York, Mrs. Chen had said. The shop was tiny, but the baker, Rosa, was kind. She listened to them, gave good ideas, and treated Amara like she mattered. This is it, Amara said, tasting a yummy vanilla cake with fresh fruit. This is our wedding cake. But then, Caleb, Grayson's brother, came back. He had been released from jail and wanted to fix his mistakes. I want to make things right, he said. Let me help with the wedding. Show everyone our family is still strong. Grayson didn't look happy. Our family, he said coldly. You tried to ruin it. I was wrong, Caleb said. But this, what you've built here, it's making a difference. Please, brother. Before Grayson could say anything, Jude ran up. Uncle Caleb, want to see my science project? Mr. Walter helped me build a volcano. Caleb looked surprised to be called uncle, but he followed Jude to see the big paper volcano near the diner door. Later, Amara found Grayson looking at old family pictures. What are you thinking? She asked. That maybe everyone deserves a second chance, he said. Isn't that what we teach people here every day? Wedding plans moved ahead. The wedding would be in the park. The party would be at Mabel's diner, turned into a magical place for one night. Guests were a mix of everyone, business people and diner regulars, fancy ladies and nursing students. Jude would be the ring bearer. Mrs. Chen was the wedding planner. But a week before the wedding, trouble came. The press found out about Caleb helping with the wedding. News stories popped up. Some sponsors wanted to quit. People talked badly about Grayson. Amara found him sitting in their room, looking sad. Maybe we should wait, he said. Let this blow over. No, Amara said. We're not giving up. Remember that night I gave you your suitcase back? You asked why. I said because it wasn't mine. Well, this life, we built it, all of it. The messy parts, the beautiful parts, it's ours. And we'll be stronger for showing we believe in second chances. The next day, instead of hiding, they invited the press to the diner. Grayson stood beside Caleb and announced a new plan. A program to help people who made mistakes in business, giving them jobs and hope again. Everyone deserves a chance to change, Grayson said. I know because Amara and Jude changed me. The story changed. Reporters wrote about love, family, and second chances. The night before the wedding, the diner was full of flowers and lights. It still smelled like coffee and pie. Regulars still came for dinner. Jude practiced being ring bearer. Celeste helped Mrs. Chen with flowers. Caleb hung decorations quietly. You know what's funny? Amara said to Grayson. If you hadn't lost that suitcase... I didn't lose it, Grayson smiled. I left it where you would find it. Amara looked at Grayson and said, I saw you walking home from work that night. I saw you stop to help old Mr. Alvin with his heavy grocery bags. You always had a kind word for everyone. I watched you for many weeks, trying to learn how someone could be so nice. And then you left $100,000 on the street just to see what I would do. Grayson laughed and said, I left it because I knew you would return it. I hoped it would give me a chance to meet you properly. Amara shook her head and asked, So are you telling me that you planned our very first meeting just to test me? Grayson said, It was the best business decision I ever made, and he pulled her close. But I have to tell you, I never thought our meeting would turn out like this. He looked around the busy diner. There was Jude and Mr. Walter and Mrs. Chen taking care of everything. Even a big boss from a company and Caleb, who was looking for a fresh start, were all there. Grayson smiled and said, It took me a long time to understand what real wealth is. Then he kissed her as the sunlight made the diner's windows shine like gold. On the morning of their wedding, the park was bright and clear. White chairs were lined up along the path that led to a small arch covered with beautiful flowers from Mrs. Chen's garden. Inside Mabel's diner, which had become a party place, sunshine filled the room. There were windows with little twinkling lights. Amara was getting ready in her old apartment above the diner because that was what she wanted. Her wedding dress was not bought from a fancy store. It was made by Mrs. Clara, who used to take care of Jude when he was a baby and had become very good at sewing. Then Tasha said, "Something borrowed," while showing a pretty silver bracelet that once belonged to her grandmother. Mrs. Chen added, "Something blue," by putting a tiny blue forget-me-not flower on Amara's bouquet. Celeste Morgan quietly said, "Something old," as she opened a small box. "This is my mother's necklace. She wore it when she got married, and she was a waitress too, just like before." Amara touched the simple Walter necklace with trembling fingers. Celeste said, "I don't know what to say, but please promise you will always take care of Grayson because he is different now." In another room above the diner, Grayson was fixing his tie while Caleb helped Jude with his ring-bearer job. Nervously, Caleb asked his brother a question about the wedding, but Grayson replied, "I want everything to be perfect for Amara." Caleb smiled and said, "It is already perfect, because you finally understand what she has always known, that perfect is not about looking fancy, it is about being real." Jude jumped over happily and showed off his suit. "Mommy is going to cry when she sees us happy with our wedding, even if there are a few tears," he said. Grayson knelt down to Jude's level and said, "Before we go downstairs, I have a little present for you." Grayson opened a small box and took out a gold pocket watch. The watch had a message that said, "Time is precious, but love is timeless. Love, Dad." Jude's eyes became big. He said, "Really? You want me to call you Dad?" Without hesitation, Jude threw his arms around Grayson and said, "I've been practicing. Want to hear how it sounds? Dad, Dad, Dad." Outside in the park, many different guests came. There were business people sitting with the regular diner friends. Fancy ladies talked with young nursing students. Mr. Walter had even put together a small choir of neighborhood children to sing a song. When the music started, Jude walked down the aisle first, carefully carrying the rings. He even stopped to wave at many people he knew. Then Amara appeared, and everyone felt as if the world stopped for a moment. She walked down the aisle by herself, but she was not lonely. Every step was surrounded by people who had become like family. Mrs. Chen wiped away her tears. Mr. Walter smiled proudly like a grandpa, and even Silas Mercer was seen dabbing his eyes with a soft silk handkerchief. Grayson waited under the floral arch and felt his heart beat fast when he saw her. She was not wearing a fancy dress or lots of shiny jewels. She was simply Amara, beautiful, real, and completely herself. When they said their wedding promises, they did not use ordinary words. Amara promised with a smile, "I promise to always return what isn't mine, except for your heart, which I plan to keep." Grayson said, "I promise to never think that money can buy happiness, because you taught me that the best things in life aren't things at all." Jude jumped in and added his promise, "I promise to always do my homework, help at the diner, and love both of you, even if Dad sometimes burns the toast." After the ceremony, everyone went back to the diner for a big celebration. There were crystal champagne glasses next to coffee mugs, and little fancy snacks were shared with Mabel's famous apple pie. Rosa's wedding cake was very pretty with 5 layers of simple style. It made everyone feel like both sides of their world could join together. Caleb stood up to give his best man speech. His hands shook a little as he remembered their childhood. He said, "Grayson and I used to think that success meant having a big office, a fancy car, and all those expensive things. But my brother found something much better, and I'm just now starting to understand that true success is measured by the number of lives you touch, the community you build, and the love you share." As the evening went on, something magical happened. The people who came from very different worlds started to mix and laugh together. A Supreme Court judge even started a lively talk about baseball with Mr. Walter. Celeste Morgan learned how to make coffee from Tasha, and Silas Mercer's wife signed up to help at the foundation that was near the diner. Near midnight, Grayson found Amara sitting in their favorite booth watching everyone dancing. "Are you happy?" Grayson asked as he sat beside her. Look, she said, pointing to the dance floor. Jude is teaching Caleb a very funny handshake he learned at school, and Mrs. Chen is dancing the waltz with Silas. Amara said, "Remember how we thought our worlds were too different to mix?" Grayson smiled and said, "It turns out we were wrong about many things. By the way, our board meeting tomorrow will be interesting." Amara laughed and said, "It might be a bit strange to have it here at the diner, but now that we own it, I think we can." Amara remembered the wedding present from the old owner of the diner. He was retiring, and he trusted only one couple to keep Mabel's diner and legacy alive. Tears filled Amara's eyes as she said, "So we really can have it all? The foundation, the diner, our family." Grayson nodded towards the door. Jude came in, now wearing his jacket like a superhero cape, and was performing magic tricks for a group of children. These children were friends from work and the neighborhood, laughing and having fun together. "Dad," Jude called out, "come see my new trick. Mommy taught me this trick on her break yesterday." Grayson squeezed Amara's hand and said, "Shall we go see him?" They joined their son, their family, and their community. The parts of their lives that fit together perfectly like a puzzle they had been putting together without even knowing it. Later that night, after all the guests had left and Jude had fallen asleep on a pile of tablecloths, Grayson and Amara stood outside the diner. This was the same spot where months ago Amara had found a special suitcase that changed both of their lives. Grayson said, "You never cashed that reward check I offered you." Amara smiled and said, "I didn't need it, because I got something even better." She looked at their diner, now with a new sign that said, "Mabel's, where community meets coffee," and at the foundation office they had built next door, and at the life they had created together, a life bigger and better than they had ever dreamed. "I got everything," she said simply, and kissed him under the starry sky. Inside the diner, the coffee machine hummed softly, ready to serve more people the next day. Lawyers, workers, dreamers, and doers alike. All the people who had become part of their big family were now connected by love. Sometimes the greatest love stories are not about fighting differences, but about learning that deep down we are all people looking for a kind place to belong. And sometimes that place can be a small diner in New York City, where a lost suitcase and a kind heart show us that happy endings are not just fairy tales. They happen when two people are brave enough to knock on each other's doors and strong enough to keep them open for others to come in and stay.